Hello and welcome back to the Common Colt Podcast, a Colts podcast with real takes and no clickbait. I'm Josh Hudgens, joined by Dan Hertzler. Dan, free agency time is here. What's up?
Yeah. Some of the, blowback, the emotions of, finding out we didn't get the first pick or hey, you never know. There's some rumors out there. It's kind of settled down a little bit. We're kind of moving into, hey, the world turns, the world keeps going on, and Colts Nation, we got to keep moving. Big days coming up starting tomorrow. Free agency starts, I believe, at noon tomorrow. And Josh, just curious, what are your thoughts? Colts going to be big players day one?
Yeah, so it's the legal tampering phase of free agency, pretty much, where these teams can talk with these players. Because back in the day, I think these teams would talk illegally, and then they would sign right off the bat on day one. And people are like, okay, how do they sign so fast? So they've allowed this now. But for me, when I think about the Colts specifically, Chris Ballard has obviously been slow to sign people in free agency, very conservative. But they have a new head coach. Chris Ballard's on the hot seat, and they're probably going to be getting a new quarterback, maybe a rookie, who they might want to build a roster around. So I think some people are thinking that the Colts might actually make some moves here early on in free agency. Me personally, I just don't see that happening. I don't. Matt Ryan hasn't been released yet. Mo Alley Cox hasn't been traded or cut yet. And we've heard about this Ryan Kelly situation, which would free up some cap space. So to me, if they wanted to make these moves, I would have, or early moves in free agency, I would have expected Matt Ryan to have been cut already. So I don't see any day one moves. I do see some day two moves and maybe or later on moves. But before I get to that, what do you think? Do you think we're going to see some day one stuff?
Yeah, the big question again is what are we doing at quarterback? Because like you mentioned, we're going to be getting a rookie quarterback, and most teams don't want to go into a camp and just say, hey, here's our rookie, and he's already day one starter. And that's kind of where we're at right now, because we're all assuming Matt Ryan is not going to be back, although maybe they'll restructure him and he'll want to be a mentor, but I just can't see that being anything Colts want. So then you start looking, okay, well, who are the quarterbacks out there? You've got Jimmy G out of the Niners. You got Baker Mayfield as a potential one. And then Jameis Winston, who you reminded me that, Colts were actually kind of in some talks with him, I think last year, a year before.
Yeah, I think he actually flew out on Irsay's jet. And this is speculation now, but I've kind of had a theory that if the Matt Ryan situation didn't happen, if that trade fell through, that Jameis Winston would have been the Colts quarterback last year. So I think there's a little something there. Ballard had some interest in him, but at this point, maybe that ship sailed. And I think a lot of teams do like, or a lot of coaches like their guy. And you made a connection to me. Maybe I'll let you share that.
Yeah. We got a new head coach, Shane Steichen, and he's from the Eagles. And they got a quarterback that's a veteran. He's not a flashy name. It's nothing that get us excited. We have a little history with him because he started out with the Jaguars here in the NFC South or AFC South. But Gardner Minshew is someone that I think we need to kind of pay attention to. To me, that might be a perfect kind of fit. Say, hey, we'll bring you in here. You're going to maybe get a few games, but you're basically going to be passing the baton. And the system. You can jump in right away. And I think that's a realistic thing. I don't think it's going to be a day one type of thing, but I think that's someone that the Colts should be looking at. As you mentioned, Ryan Kelly might get traded a few years ago. I think the Raiders traded their center, Rodney Hudson, to the Cardinals for a third-round pick. So, hey, if the Colts can get a third-round pick for Kelly, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty excited with that. So I would look at that. And then you got wide receiver. There's a lot of pretty decent names out there that are floating around, guys that you would look at. Some from the Chiefs. You got McCole Hardman, or I think that's his name. Is it McCole Hardman?
Yeah.
And then you got Juju Smith-Schuster that are there. You've got Adam Thielen just got released. Michael Thompson just got released in the Saints. I mean, you got some of these big guys, some of these big names, and I don't think the Colts are going to be active, but I wouldn't be against it if the Colts want to bring in a veteran receiver.
Yeah, I don't think I think someone like a Mecole Hardman might have a big market, whereas Adam Thielen, someone like that might just be a guy who they could sign to groom some of these young receivers that they have. Re-sign Paris Campbell. I'm not sure if Paris Campbell's ever going to be what Colts fans hope he's going to be, but he's going to be a cheap signing. And Ballard has a history of being I guess a politically correct word is frugal with the Colts cap at times. So I think it's going to be Paris Campbell. I would like to see a veteran receiver like Adam Thielen get signed. Chase McLaughlin, the kicker, another Colts player to get re-signed. Just please do not re-sign Brandon Faison, the cornerback. I think I'd rather them go back and get Rocky Sin back as a Colt before that. Honestly, I just don't see the Colts going big in free agency. They never have historically, and with where the roster is at, I just don't think it makes sense to. When you think about our salary cap at this point of time, and with the stage we're at, no matter what, next season we're not going to be Super Bowl contenders. Right. So I just don't see it happening. Big splashes day one.
Yeah. So you're not going to be sitting around watching your phone, seeing all the alerts coming through. Yeah. You're not going to see Colt's name. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. But I do think in the next few days, and as we said, kind of day two or bargain shopping, kind of old school, blue light specials at the Kmart's, I think the Colts need to be active in that, in receiver and in quarterback. Hey, I don't love this guy, but I think he might be right for the right price and maybe get a bounce back. Michael Thomas, the Ohio State Buckeye, he's been injured. He's got some size. He's a veteran. It might be just the right kind of 1 year signing that the Colts can make. And, I'm just really curious, as Colts Nation out there, who are we kind of targeting and thinking, let's don't get crazy. We're not going to be going out and, signing the big name guys. We all kind of agreed to that. But who are those next tier guys that we kind of got an eye on and say, hey, they look pretty good in blue and white. And, this would be a good signing. And, we've got some cap flexibility, not a ton, but we've got some. And so I'd love to see us use some of it.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I know these day two, I mean, it could be week 2 or week 3 signings, but they do make a difference. Rodney McLeod, Colts signed him, and he was kind of like okay. And he made a big difference on the Colts last year in the defensive backfield. So we'll see. We're gonna track this thing. We'll give you guys some updates and our thoughts on it. But hey, the big question is going to be, who are the Colts going to get a quarterback? Are they going to make a move to get a veteran in there just in case? We don't know what's going to happen. So stay tuned to the Common Colt podcast. We'll fill you guys in. And hey, thanks for watching. Until next time, have a great day.